We all know that guy from college. The one who organizes a massive group project, puts his name at the very top of the Google Doc, does absolutely zero of the actual work, and still gets an A+ because he convinced someone else to do the entire thing for him. If you take that guy, put him on a wooden boat, and surround him with the most unhinged, violent characters in ancient history, you get the story of Jason and the Argonauts. Mainstream pop culture tries to paint Jason as a brave, legendary Greek hero who sailed to the edge of the world to steal a magical golden fleece. The actual mythology? It is the story of history's most incompetent group leader, getting completely carried by a crew of violent frat bros, and a terrifyingly toxic sorceress girlfriend who literally solves all of his problems with first-degree murder. Let's break down the most dysfunctional team-building exercise of the ancient world. The story starts because Jason wants his throne back. His evil uncle Peleus stole the kingdom of Iolcos, and tells Jason he can only have it back if he sails across the known world and retrieves the Golden Fleece, which is exactly what it sounds like, a magical gold sheepskin guarded by a literal dragon. The uncle assumes Jason will die immediately. Jason realizes he cannot do this alone because he possesses no actual skills. So he builds a massive, state-of-the-art ship called the Argo and puts out an open casting call to every single hero in Greece. The lineup he gets is basically the ancient Greek Avengers. He recruits Orpheus, history's greatest musician, Castor and Pollux, the legendary boxing twins, and most importantly, Hercules, the absolute deadliest weapon of mass destruction on the planet. With a crew of elite, demigod killers, you would think this road trip would be smooth sailing. It immediately falls apart. Their very first stop is the island of Lemnos. Now, the mainstream versions of this myth leave out exactly why this island is so weird, but the original lore is completely wild. A few years prior, the women of Lemnos forgot to make sacrifices to Aphrodite. The goddess of love took this personally, so she cursed every single woman on the island to smell absolutely terrible. It was so bad that their husbands all started crossing the ocean to cheat on them with women from neighboring cities. In response, the women of Lemnos didn't just ask for a divorce. One night, they coordinated a massive strike and murdered every single man on the island. Every single one. So Jason and the world's greatest heroes pull up to an island populated entirely by female murderers. Do they fight them? Do they run away in terror? No. The Argonauts decide this is the perfect vacation spot. They park the boat and spend months just partying, drinking wine, and hooking up with the locals. They completely forget about the Golden Fleece until Hercules finally gets fed up, yells at all of them, and essentially forces them back onto the boat like a disgruntled camp counselor. But Hercules doesn't stick around long. Shortly after leaving Lemnos, the crew stops to resupply water. Hercules brought along his companion and armor-bearer, a remarkably good-looking young guy named Hylas. Hylas goes to a local pond to fill up a water pitcher. The water nymphs living in the pond think he is so attractive that they literally reach out, grab him, and pull him into the depths forever. When Hylas doesn't come back, Hercules completely loses his mind. The strongest man in the world abandons the quest entirely, wanders deep into the woods screaming his friend's name, and refuses to leave. Jason, proving his immense lack of leadership, just looks at his watch, shrugs, and tells the crew to sail away without him. They literally ditched their best player in episode 2. After nearly starving at sea, they land in a kingdom ruled by a blind prophet named Phineas. Phineas has a terrible curse. Every time he sits down at the table to eat a sandwich, a flock of harpies, horrific monsters that are half bird, half woman, dive bomb out of the sky, steal his food, and poop all over whatever is left. It is pure, divine slapstick comedy. Jason agrees to help Phineas if Phineas gives them directions to the Golden Fleece. Two of the Argonauts happen to have wings, because their dad is the North Wind, so they just fly up into the air and aggressively chase the bird women away with swords. Phineas finally gets to eat a meal, and tells Jason how to navigate through the clashing rocks. Two massive mountains that literally smash together and crush any ship that tries to sail between them. They finally arrive at Colchis, the kingdom that holds the Golden Fleece. King Aedes looks at Jason and says, "Sure, you can have the fleece. You just have to complete a few simple tasks. Task 1. Yoke 2 massive, fire-breathing bronze bulls and plow a field. Task 2. Plant magical dragon teeth into the dirt, which will instantly sprout into an army of undead skeleton warriors. Task 3. Defeat the skeleton army." Jason is a standard mortal. He is absolutely going to burn to a crisp. He goes back to his ship, sits down, and basically cries about how doomed he is. But up on Mount Olympus, the goddesses Hera and Aphrodite want Jason to win. So, they hit the king's daughter, Medea, with one of Cupid's arrows, forcing her to fall obsessively, insanely in love with Jason. This is the turning point of the story, because Medea is not a normal princess. She is a priestess of Hecate and a literal, terrifying dark sorceress. Medea sneaks out to Jason's ship and says, "I will do your entire project for you, if you promise to marry me and take me away from here." Jason instantly agrees. Medea gives Jason a magical fireproof ointment so the bronze bulls can't burn him. Then, she tells him exactly how to beat the skeleton warriors. Don't fight them. Just throw a massive rock into the middle of their group. Skeletons are incredibly stupid, so they will all blame each other for throwing the rock and immediately hack themselves to pieces. It works flawlessly. Finally, they walk into the grove where the sleepless dragon is guarding the Golden Fleece. Jason draws his sword, ready for an epic battle. Medea just rolls her eyes, walks past him, and sings a magical lullaby that drops the massive dragon into a deep coma. Jason just walks up, unhooks the fleece from the tree, and claims total victory despite contributing absolutely nothing to the operation. Jason, Medea, and the Argonauts sprint back to the ship and sail away. But King Aedes realizes his daughter betrayed him, and he sends his entire massive naval fleet to chase them down. The Colchian navy is faster, and they are rapidly catching up to the Argo. This is where the story gets so incredibly dark that most modern retellings just delete it completely. Medea brought her little brother, Absyrtus, onto the ship with her. As her father's navy closes in, Medea realizes they need a distraction. So, she murders her own little brother, chops his body into pieces, and literally throws the pieces off the back of the boat one by one. King Aedes is forced to stop his entire pursuit fleet to slowly collect the scattered pieces of his son from the ocean so he can give him a proper religious burial. It is wildly toxic, incredibly brutal, and undeniably effective. Jason watches his new girlfriend chop up her sibling for a tactical speed boost and decides this is fine. They finally make it back to Greece. Jason marches up to his evil uncle Peleus, hands him the Golden Fleece, and demands his throne. Peleus laughs in his face and refuses. Once again, Jason has no idea what to do. Once again, Medea handles the HR department. Medea goes to Peleus's daughters and tells them she has a magical spell that can reverse aging. To prove it, she takes an old ram, chops it up, throws it into a boiling cauldron with some magic herbs, and a baby lamb jumps out. The daughters are amazed. They ask Medea to make their elderly father young again. Medea tells them, "Sure, you just have to chop him up and put him in the boiling water." The daughters literally murder their own father and throw him into a boiling stew. But this time, Medea just walks away without adding the magic herbs. The uncle is dead. The throne is clear. But the locals are so deeply horrified by the fact that Jason's wife just tricked a family into making dad's soup that they exile both of them from the city forever. Years pass. Jason and Medea are living in exile in Corinth. And this is where Jason makes the stupidest decision in the history of human existence. He decides he is tired of Medea. He wants political power. So, he tells the woman who solved a dragon puzzle for him, chopped up her own brother for him, and boiled his uncle alive for him, that he is leaving her to marry a normal, younger princess. Medea's reaction is apocalyptic. She smiles, pretends to accept it, and sends the new bride a gorgeous wedding dress as a peace offering. The moment the princess puts the dress on, it instantly bursts into magical, unquenchable flames, burning her and her father alive. Medea then murders everything Jason loves, summons a flying chariot pulled by literal sun dragons, and just flies away into the sky, leaving Jason with absolutely nothing. Jason loses his wife, his new bride, his kids, and his reputation. He spends the rest of his life wandering around as a depressed, lonely loser. One day, as an old man, he goes down to the beach to visit his rotting, deteriorating old ship, the Argo. He sits down under the hull to take a nap and reminisce about the one time in his life when he was supposedly a great hero. While he is sleeping, a heavy, rotting piece of wood snaps off the stern of the ship, falls directly onto his head, and kills him instantly. And that is the real story of Jason. Not a heroic captain, but a useless group project leader who got completely carried, betrayed the one person doing all the work, and got taken out by a piece of falling ceiling.